And before we get going here, I want to give a shout out to the crowd last night, the Red Wave. Over 36,000 in the house, and they created a very good atmosphere, best home attendance of the season. And they saw a hard-fought football game, Cam. A game the Dogs actually trailed at half at home for the first time all season, but in the second half, they kind of rediscovered their running game, and the defense was again dominant in that second half. I think they allowed less than 60 total yards in the second half, and they come back to win the football game. So what changed at halftime?
Well, we know that this team is so good at making halftime adjustments. They've really been dominant in every third quarter outside of Boise State last Friday. So they came back out in the second half and said, we are going to run the ball right at this physical San Diego State defense. We're going to run some zone schemes so we can pick up guys as they show. Had success doing that, and then that opened up Marcus finding one-on-one matchups with Keyshawn Johnson. And defensively, it was just an attitude. The secondary decided to stop getting their eyes in the backfield, playing top down like they have all season long, and not give up those big, cheap plays. They knew if they didn't give up the big, cheap ones, San Diego State did not have the ability to drive the field. That's exactly what we saw in the second half.
In leading up to this game in our Facebook Live segment, you said one key to the victory for the Bulldogs was chap your chin strap on tight, because this was going to be a physical football game, as most San Diego State, Fresno State games are, and it turned out to be the case. And in the second half, I think the Bulldogs just committed themselves to being physical. The running game and that defense, again, dominant in the second half.
Yeah, this is a San Diego State defense that is top 5 in the nation against the run. They are very physical at the point of attack. It's very difficult to get, I think, 115 or 120 yards that Fresno State got in this game. San Diego gives about 90, and Fresno State did most of that in the second half. And defensively, once they stopped, once that secondary relaxed a little bit, I think this whole defense was pressing in the second half against Boise, and they brought that into the game with San Diego State. That's why we saw big shots that we don't normally see. Once they took a step back and relaxed, they let it loose. They just said, we are going to go take this fight to San Diego State. We're not going to give up cheap ones. We're going to bring the physicality that we need to stop this physical rushing attack to get the job done. And it was a masterful defensive performance in the second half. Now,
last Friday night in Boise on that final drive, Keyshawn Johnson had a ball on 4th and 11 that I think he would probably tell us he thinks he should come down with. It would have been a physical catch, but I think he could have made the catch. So last night, I think maybe he was a little extra motivated in this game. And he finishes with 10 catches, ties a career high for him, 141 yards. You need some playmakers as well, right, to win a football game on the perimeter, and he was that guy for Fresno State.
He was, and when I talked to him after the game, I asked him about a couple of these shots. This one on the sideline that we just saw, that was Marcus making a check to Keyshawn because he was singled up, and Keyshawn knew he's going to throw it up and let me go get it, or he's going to throw it back shoulder and I'm going to come back to get it. On this was a 3rd and 12 just after Ronnie Rivers had taken one to the end zone that looked like a 30-yard touchdown. It got called back, and Keyshawn runs the best route of the night, puts the safety on skates with a little jab to the outside and runs a post, and Marcus throws a rope. That's the Keyshawn that Fresno State needs, whether it's in Logan or Boise in 2 weeks in that Mountain West championship game. You're going to have to make plays in one-on-one situations, and we know. The defense knows, everybody on the other sideline knows, Marcus and Keyshawn know where the ball is going. Now Keyshawn has to go and make those plays, and we saw that big time in the second half last night.
Keyshawn also showing off all that weight room work he did in the offseason, right? A couple flexes there after those catches. You know, we've been talking about Fresno State not having played really any close games until the Boise game. They played at Minnesota, but it was a game that they lost, right, in the fourth quarter. How important was this win, to come back from a halftime deficit, considering that you're going to have to go on the road to play that Mountain West Championship game at either Boise State or Utah State?
Yeah, they haven't been in this position all year and actually won a football game. They haven't been down at half since Jeff Tedford's been the head coach here and come back in the second half to win. So this was big, not just the fact that they were down at half, that they had to make plays in the second half, but how they did it. Running the ball physically inside the tackles, as a defense, not giving up any cheap plays, and really getting after a quarterback with the protections. I think Fresno State, their adjustments in the second half against that San Diego State front that is very multiple, it's very similar to Boise. The checks that they made, they can carry over if they go back to the blue turf in 2 weeks. So the fact that they came back in the second half, made plays when they were down, really were tight defensively, but how they did it with the physical run game, winning one-on-one matchups, and really protecting against a very good front seven, I think those are things that they will build on the confidence and take, whether it's in Logan or Boise, for that Mountain West title game.
And speaking of that game, now the company line from the players and the coaches, I think, is going to be leading up to that game in 2 weeks. Of course, we have a game against San Jose State this weekend, but it's going to be that they don't care who they play, right? Two-part question here. Do you believe them that they don't care who they play? And the second part of that is, who should they want to play in that game?
I don't believe them. If they say that they don't care who they play, I don't believe them. I know as a player, me sitting here right here, I hope we go back to Boise in 2 weeks. I'm just me, myself. But I know after the opportunity they had last year in the Mountain West title game and being up 17-3 last week, they want to get back and they want to win it, not just against Boise, but go back to that blue turf and finally slay that beast and end up as Mountain West champions. Now, should they want to play? They should want to go to Logan and play Utah State. Boise State is so solid in every phase of the game. It's very difficult to beat them, and it's even more difficult to beat them when they're at home. We saw they were down 17-3 and no panic at all. Let's stick to the game plan. Let's continue to run the ball. Let's do what we do and what we've done over the 34 years since Fresno State beat us here to win this game. Utah State is not as solid. They don't have an experienced quarterback in Jordan Love like Boise has in Brett Rippon. They don't have Alex Madison running the football. They have weapons. They have guys. They're not anywhere near the talent and the efficiency that Boise State brings to the table.
If my opinion means anything, I want another shot at Boise State, right? And I'm just covering the game. Finally, before we let you go, Cam, I wanted to ask you about this week's game against San Jose State. As I mentioned, the Dogs, although they've already clinched the West Division, have one more game this week. Senior Day, they're a huge favorite over San Jose State, sending off their 27 seniors. Any issue with motivation in this game? That goes out the window, right, because it's Senior Day?
I can remember my senior day. It was an important game against Nevada, but it doesn't matter. We played Utah State my junior year, and I think we dropped 58 on them in the first half, and they were not a good football team. So everybody's going to be motivated to play. It's the last time this team will play in Bulldog Stadium, but it's the last time for these 27 seniors ever to go down that ramp in a red uniform. And it's not just the seniors that are going to be excited to play that game. Everybody in that program wants to perform to send those seniors off the right way. It means a lot to the younger players to send those guys out the right way. I talked to James Bailey last night. He said one of the most disappointing, sad moments in his Fresno State career was 2 years ago, San Jose State in Bulldog Stadium, and it was empty on Senior Day. And he's glad that they've gotten this program back, but I think everybody involved, they're so excited to send these seniors who have been instrumental in turning this program around, sending them off the right way with a big win against, for a long time, this was the rival for Fresno State. So this game still means a lot around the community of Fresno.
Yeah, third straight week that a rivalry trophy will be on the line. And remember, 4 o'clock start for that one. So get the family out there to Bulldog Stadium. Hey, if you want more of Cam and myself talking Bulldog football, the place to go, the KC24 Facebook page tomorrow night at 9:15 p.m. We'll be up on Facebook Live with more analysis on the Aztec game and go a little more in-depth previewing San Jose State this week. We'll also go through the 10 game-changing plays from last night's game and get Cam's insight on why they worked, or in some cases, why they didn't. Again, that's tomorrow night at 9:15 on the KC24 Facebook page. Cam, appreciate it. I will see you tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
All right.